What's up, everyone? It's Austin Rutherford, real estate investor and entrepreneur out of Columbus, Ohio. Now living in sunny Fort Lauderdale, own a ton of rental properties, flipped hundreds and hundreds of houses. And I get thousands of questions a week, from DMs to comments to TikTok to Instagram to YouTube to everything. And I do my best to get back to all of them as often as possible. Sometimes I'm just unable to. So in this video, I'm gonna give you answers to questions that I get and go way more in depth on some of these topics. So if you want your question answered, make sure you're following me on Instagram at Austin Rutherford Official or at TikTok at Austin Rutherford. Drop a comment on one of those platforms. You might see one of your questions in the next video. Make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm as well. So let's get started. So this one says, I want to purchase a second home to start getting passive income. Do I need 20% down? There's a couple ways to buy a rental property, right? One is you go to a bank, you get a conventional loan, and most banks on an investment property require 25% down. So maybe 20, usually 25%, but you put, buy a $100,000 house, put $20,000 to $25,000 as a down payment. Now you own that property as a rental property. There's a couple other ways to get rental properties as well. The second option is owner financing, seller financing. So you can buy a house from somebody and the seller wants to seller finance that deal to you, which means that they give you terms just like a loan, just like a bank would give you terms, and you make payments to the seller instead of to the bank. And a seller can finance 100% of the deal. Now this doesn't happen often, but it is a possibility. The other strategy, which I talk about a lot, is the BRRRR method. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. So you buy a property discounted with other people's money, you renovate it with other people's money, you rent it out at a higher dollar value, you refinance it with a bank, and then you repeat the process time and time again. So let's say you buy a property for 50 grand, needs $50,000 of work. You're all in for $100,000. You take it to a bank and they give you an 80% loan to value. So they give you $120,000 back. Let's say you owe some interest, some closing costs. So let's say you're all in. Purchase, rehab is 100, plus closing costs and interest is another 10 grand. So you're all in for 110, bank gives you 120. You now own this asset with none of your own money. So if you want to learn more about the BRRRR strategy, make sure you check out that video up there. So the next question is, how can I calculate how many homes I need to quit my 9-to-5 and live off of my rental property? There's a lot of different formulas you're gonna get there. And depending what market you're in, what type of house you have, the calculation can be off, across the board, across cities, across states. But just to kind of put it into perspective for you, let's say you have like a super high-end Airbnb, right? You're charging $1,000 a night at it. You might be able to make 5 to 10 grand a month just on that Airbnb, right? But the purchase price to get into that property is going to be millions and millions of dollars. So a lot of people can't start there. Most people start with like an average first time home buyer property that they rent out. So our normal property is worth like 100 to 200 grand, the after repaired value, and we buy it for less than that, renovate it for less than that. But the ARV is 100 to 200 grand. We look to make about $400 a month per property in profit, but that's before vacancies and before repairs. So across a portfolio, after you subtract the vacancies and repairs that you had to do throughout the year, each unit comes out to about $100 to $200 per month in net profit. So let's just say $150, right? So let's say you're making $5,000 a month right now, and you divide that by $150 because each unit will net roughly $150 per month. You need 33.3 rental properties. So you need a 33 unit complex, you need 33 single families, or you need 16 duplexes, right? And these are just rough numbers, but that kind of puts into perspective roughly where you're going to need to be at. But again, there's other examples out there. Higher end properties, you make a lot more money. Like I have an Airbnb, the property is worth probably $700,000, $800,000, and I net personally like $1,000 to $4,000 a month from renting this property out on Airbnb. So it fluctuates because Airbnb can be up and down, but I make way more money on that house because it's a way more expensive property. So it just depends what type of rentals that you're looking to buy. So the next question is, what type of loans for rental properties instead of conventional loans? So conventional is usually one of the best ways to get a rental property, but there's a few other ones, but I'm gonna cover two of them. One is an FHA owner-occupied loan. So I know you might be sitting there like, well, I said rental property and you just said owner-occupied. It's not really the same thing. It's kind of like a hack. It's a cheat code, right? So you can use an FHA owner-occupied loan, which requires only 3.5% down payment, but you have to live in one of the units, but you can buy a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit property with that loan. So you can go out there and you can find a quad, a 4-unit property for say $400,000, and you only need 3.5% down payment. So you need $14,000 as a down payment. You move into one of the units, you rent the other 3 units out, the other 3 units pay your mortgage plus some profit to you. You're living for free and you have 4 rental properties. And then you decide to move out to another place. Now you rent the entire building and you still have income coming in. The other type of loan that you can use is what's called a portfolio loan. So conventional mortgage are people that, underwrite these mortgages, give you the loan and then sell them to the government, right? So it's the same exact process, the same underwriting guidelines across the board. So instead of using those, you can use what's called a portfolio lender. So you can only have 10 conventional loans in your name at any given time. So if you want to own more than 10 rental properties, then you have to go to a portfolio lender. So what are portfolio lenders? These are our small local community banks that do not sell these loans to the government. They keep them in-house, they service them in-house, means that you make the payments to that specific bank, and their terms are slightly different. You might only need 20% as a down payment. It might be financed on 25 years instead of 30 years. There's a couple variables, but conventional portfolio lenders are usually the most used. And then, if you're new or you maybe want a house hack, you can use the FHA loan as well. The next question, investment recommendations for a newbie with $45,000. Godspeed. I like that. So 45 grand, right? I get this question probably the most often. It's like, hey, I got 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. What do I do? And the answer is so different for every single person. It'd be hard for me to sit here and give you a specific answer, but I'm gonna give you a couple of things to think on that hopefully you can come to your own answer. So number one, are you looking to make money today? Or are you looking to make money long term? Because if you already have an income coming in, you could use that 45 grand to start buying rental properties. But maybe you don't have an income coming in and you need that 45 grand to start making you money today. If you need money today, you should start wholesaling or flipping houses if you want to be in the real estate space. Now, if you want to get into crypto or e-com or stocks or options or whatever it is, you can do that as well. Specifically in real estate, you can start flipping and wholesaling. Now, if you already have income coming in from a job maybe, you can take that 45 grand and go out there and buy maybe 2 rental properties to start making passive residual income on and start building generational wealth. So do you want money today? Do you want money for the future? Or do you need this money? Like if you lose this money, is it gonna be like the end of the world? Or is this like extra play money that you can, put into investment and hope that it works out? There's just so many questions that need to be answered before I can give you advice on that. But, I would look to yourself, start asking yourself some of those questions. Do I need money today or in the future? And can I lose this money or not? Because that'll dictate some of your investment decisions. The next question is, what are some ways you prepare yourself for market volatility or crashes? So something that I've done over the last couple of years is I've gotten out of higher end properties, right? So when a market crashes, usually the higher end properties get hit the most because the A-class, buyers and tenants move to B-class. The B-class buyers and tenants move to C-class. So if you're in the A+ class properties and something happens and people can no longer afford it, then they go down and then you're stuck with no buyers, right? So we got into very entry-level properties, C+, B- properties, flips and rentals. So, but our rentals, check this out, is a C+ to a B- property, but it's A-class finishes. So if somebody comes into this market and needs a rental property and they can, maybe get a house with carpet and white appliances and Formica countertops, or they can come to my house and get solid hardwood floors, granite countertops and stainless steel appliances, and it's the same rent, who are they gonna go with? They're gonna go with mine because it looks nicer. So to answer your question, I got it out of higher end stuff and I got into more entry level home buying, flipping, and renting, and I just made them nicer than everything else. Because if they're nicer than everything else, they're gonna sell or rent before everything else. The other thing is that I'm keeping a lot of my, not a lot, I'm keeping some of my money in cash, right? Previously I was investing like all the time. Like I was going broke every week. That's what I always told people. But now I'm keeping some liquidity just in case something does happen. I do have some money to fall back on. The next question. So what inspired you to write your book? So this is a great question. So I wrote my book, From Valet to Millionaire. You can actually get a free copy of this if you go to theaustinrutherford.com and go to the section that says free stuff. You can get a free copy of this sent directly to you. I'm actually in the process of writing my second book, which should be out in about 45-ish days. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. But what inspired me to write the book? If you read it, it's the 10 secrets to become a millionaire that they don't tell you. Who is they? They is like maybe your parents, your teachers, your principals, your friends' parents, your aunts, your nephews, your cousins, whoever it is. They're the ones telling you to go to school, get a degree, graduate, work your way up the corporate ladder, put money into an IRA, save, and then retire when you're 65, hopefully. They're not wrong. This works for some people, right? It didn't work for me. So I'm telling you the things that'll get you rich today and in the next 1, 2, or 3 years, rather than when you're 65, right? So what inspired me is I genuinely wanted to help other people. I had to go through a lot of struggles myself to become a millionaire, to become a multimillionaire, to be in the position I am today. And I want to give those secrets to others so they don't have to struggle the way that I struggled. So that's what inspired me. So if you want to grab a copy of it for free, again, 100% for free, go to theaustinrutherford.com and go to the subsection free stuff, fill out the form, and I'll send you a copy for free. So if you learned anything in this video, drop a comment in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you enjoyed this type of structure. Answering questions from my social media platforms. While you're down there, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, hit the subscribe and notification bell so you can get all this content going forward. As always, appreciate you being here. See you on the next one.